job of the United Nations is to maintain peace and security of countries through cooperation, helping face injustice, and showing good moral judgment when faced with conflict. As a member of the United Nations General Assembly in charge of hiring an advisor country, I believe that Canada should get the job of being UN advisor on maintaining responsible international involvement. Looking through several different applications, Canada has been the most cooperative and successful in helping face justice. During both World War I and World War II, Canada has contributed warships, helped convoy ships across the water, and flew planes for the British Air Force. Oh my God. In the 100 Days, the Germans tried one last massive offense, which ended up in a failure when the Allies, including Canada, who played a huge part, drove them back until they surrendered. In the Italian campaign, the Canadians invaded Italy, which was the first step in the liberation of Europe, and kept many troops away from France, which made landing easier for the Allies. In the Normandy invasions, the Canadians captured Juno Beach and pushed the Germans back through France and liberated Holland. Canada has cooperated with the Allies throughout the wars to face injustice that the Germans were committing. Not only were they cooperative and promoting justice, Canada has displayed good moral judgment and achieved working towards peace. Vimy Ridge was a risky battle that Canadians had gotten themselves into, knowing that both France and Britain had failed. The Canadians alone had well planned and executed their successful capture. It was a turning point in the war which gave the Canadians a sense of autonomy. The result of this battle had led to the Canadian Corps being led by a Canadian rather than a British. During the Korean War, the UN had sent a force of many countries, including Canada, to help defend South Korea against North Korea, who were communists and wanted to take over all of Korea. After pushing back North Korea to where they started, Canadians Lester B. Pearson wanted to stop fighting because he felt it was enough. He was overpowered by the U.S., who was angered and wanted to keep going. During the Suez Crisis, Lester B. Pearson, who was Canada's Minister of External Affairs at the time, had sent UN emergency forces to act as peacekeepers. They were sent to maintain the peace while the Egyptians, who joined with the Soviets, and Britain and France, who joined with Israel, were negotiating a deal after the Egyptian president had closed the Suez Canal, which was a major trade route. This action of peacekeeping worked out so well, Pearson had been awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. Representing the country, Pearson had shown good moral judgment and successfully worked towards peace. Even though Canada has done many good things, it isn't perfect. Trying to keep peace in Somalia during their civil war and famine, a group of Canadian soldiers tortured and killed a Somali teenager to death and tried to cover it up. While this act was happening, many of the other soldiers heard and or observed the beating but did not do anything about it. This had brought much shame to Canada and the UN. Now in Rwanda, the intentions were good, but the outcome of the genocide was horrific. Over 1 million Tutsis and Hutus were murdered. 3,000 peacekeepers were sent by the UN to stop any more men from dying. After 10 Belgian peacekeepers were killed, the 2,000 men that were asked for became 500. It was an extreme failure in hopes to protect the innocent people, which ended up with the UN and others having to apologize for the genocide that they could not stop. Although Canada had made many errors through the years and is still growing and learning from the past, above all others, Canada should be the advisor country for showing cooperation, helping face injustice, maintaining peace, and showing good moral judgment when faced with conflict.